Welcome to Spectral Whimsy, where fairy tales drift into nightmares and color meets story. Today's painting is inspired by the last song of the Starfall Menagerie, a tale of a ghostly bioship that drifts through the ruins of forgotten worlds, collecting the echoes of lost civilizations. Here are the colors I used. Feel free to pause or check the description box below for the full list. Let's start with the sketch. I used chalk, but you could use a white pencil or even a pastel pencil or watercolor pencil to map out the basic shapes. Don't worry about getting it perfect, just focus on placement and flow. Originally, I thought I'd build the nebula with galaxies in the corners, but once the brush hit that canvas, it just wasn't quite what I wanted. So I decided to change it, and that's the beauty of acrylic, and honestly, of all creative work. You don't have to get it right on the first try, or even the second. You just have to keep going. Art evolves. Even space jellyfish change course. Before the stars ever knew names, before the silence of space was broken, the Aurelian drifted through the cosmos, gathering the songs of forgotten worlds. For the stars, I used a toothbrush dipped in thinned white paint. It's about the consistency of milk, a little thinner than heavy cream, and I tapped it gently to splatter. I also used my finger to scrape along the bristles of the brush, just to and you can add more later, if needed. Now, I'm going to add more Alizarin Crimson to the top left, letting it gently feather out with the sponge. Don't worry about getting it perfect. Nebula thrive on chaos. I'm tapping lightly, letting the paint build gradually. If the texture starts to feel too bold, just dry your sponge a little and dab it back out. You can also use a filbert brush. I kind of switch back and forth between paintbrushes and sponges, just whatever I'm feeling in the moment. The Aurelian stirred, its luminous core sensing the remnants of a lullaby echoing through red clouds of cosmic dust. With the Quinacridone Magenta, I'm beginning the tentacles, those elegant drifting tendrils. Keep your brushstrokes light and curved, almost like you're following the rhythm of a deep sea current. But some areas stay darker and layer slowly. This creates that soft glow and subtle movement that feels alive. The Aurelian extended its sensory limbs, searching the void for memories lost in the silence between the stars. Now, I'm adding highlights with titanium white. Just a little at first, these soft, fine lines help the tendrils feel illuminated, like strands of bioluminescence drifting through space. Try to let some of that magenta peek through. It creates a layered organic glow, like the Aurelian is alive and pulsing with ancient light. It reached out, not with urgency, but with longing. The bioship had witnessed the end of so many civilizations, But this signal was different. It was new, fragile, human. Here, I'm using mixing white to build up the body, just enough to make the form feel solid, without losing that ethereal quality. And if you don't have mixing white, don't worry about it. You can thin titanium white with a little water. Layer it slowly to let that glow develop from within. The Aurelian didn't understand the words, but it understood loneliness. And for the first time in centuries, it changed course. Not to archive the end of another world, but to answer a song. To bring life to the Aurelian center, I'm mixing some Cadmium Yellow with a touch of Alizarin Crimson. It gives us this warm, golden orange glow, like a distant sun pulsing from within. I'm layering slowly, letting the pigment radiate outward as if it's alive, something old and knowing, still curious. This wasn't the memory of a lost world. This was something new, a child's voice, raw, unshaped, unknowingly cast into the dark, and the Aurelian heard it and remembered. Now I'm detailing some of the stars, just a few bright points to guide the eye. I'm using titanium white, thinned to the consistency of milk, and tapping lightly with a fine brush. And sometimes I may just use the titanium white without thinning. Makes it just a little brighter, pops the color just a little bit better. Each star is a moment, a voice, a memory the Aurelian has gathered and carried through the void. It had drifted through nebula that whispered lullabies, past planets where the sky itself once sang, and now it left behind its own stars, like breadcrumbs in the dark. I'm softening the upper left nebula now with Quinacridone Magenta, mixed with a little bit of white. I'm using a small filbert brush. I'll include the size in the description once I double check it. Just a gentle sweep here adds depth and a sense of distance, like clouds drifting behind the ship. It's okay to let the colors overlap. Space doesn't obey clean edges. As the Aurelian turned its great glowing body, pulsed softly through the dust and light, a signal had reached it. But now, it sang in return, not in words, in echoes. And here, I'm adding just a few more tiny stars, nothing planned, I'm just placing them where it feels right. Sometimes that's all it takes to bring balance to a piece. These aren't just stars, they're echoes, what the Aurelian carries with it, tiny, flickering pieces of memory drifting in its wake. And so it sang, not just to remember, but to awaken. Somewhere in the dark, other voices were listening, and the child's song was no longer alone. I'm adding some more tendrils now, first with a titanium white to define their motion, and then glazing over them with cadmium yellow to bring them to life. These gestures don't need to be perfect, just fluid. Think of them like signals sent out into the unknown. Maybe they'll be heard. Maybe they'll become part of the silence. Either way, they belong. The Aurelian reached one final time, not to archive, not to grieve, but to connect. Not all voices are dying. Some are just beginning to sing. Now I'm adding some more cadmium yellow to the tentacles, starting near the core and letting that warmth drift outward. It gives the whole form a sense of energy, like something vital is pulsing beneath the surface. This is where the Aurelian feels alive, not just a vessel, but a witness, creature moved by what it has found. It had spent centuries cradling the final songs of the lost, but now, because of a single child's voice, it remembered something else. Hope. And here, I'm signing the painting, but as I looked at it, something still felt unfinished. That's how it goes sometimes. A signature isn't always the end. It's just the moment you step back and listen. So I added a few more stars, brightened a few tendrils, and glazed over the jellyfish's dome with a soft touch of mixing white, just to bring the glow to life one last time. The Aurelian, too, might have left, drifted back into the quiet of space, but it didn't. Not yet, because somewhere a voice had called, and now it would carry that light forward. With a fine detail brush and titanium white, I'm adding a final crisp highlight to the top of the Aurelian's dome. Just a glint, like light reflecting off of a memory. This is the last moment, the quiet shimmer before the dark closes in again. You don't always need more paint. Sometimes, just the right stroke makes it whole. The Aurelian drifts still, carrying echoes, carrying songs, and now, yours. And so, dear viewer, should you ever gaze into the dark and feel something watching, perhaps it isn't a ghost or a monster. Perhaps it's a traveler of light and memory, humming back your story to the stars. Until next time, good night.